So good morning, Dr. Raj. Thanks for joining us. Today we are here with another video, and I am really sure that today's video is really interesting, and it would be really helpful for most of the guys on our group and all of our viewers as well. So today's video is about the evolution of the Medical Council of Canada's examinations. So, Dr. Raj, if I go back to 2017, when I started preparing for the examinations, what I got to know is that first of all, the very primary examination that you need to undertake is MCCEE, which would stand for Medical Council of Canada Evaluation Examination. You have to pass that exam in order for you to be eligible to sit for Medical Council of Canada qualifying examination part 1. And upon clearing that exam, if you have experience, you can go towards the MCC QE part 2, or if you are hoping to take or apply for your residency and undertake your CARMS, in that case, you would sit for your NAC OSCE. But when I took my MCCEE, I think in 2018, soon after that, MCCEE became obsolete. It was not there anymore. They said it's redundant. You do not need that anymore, and you can straight away sit for QE1. So yeah, that was it. And then now I believe that now at this current stage, the same thing has happened because of COVID. The QE2 has been discontinued. Would you like to tell us more about that, please?
Yeah, so MCCEE exam was eliminated in 2018. So in 2018 was last session was in 2018. They had told us earlier in 2017 that it was going to be eliminated. So that is one reason when I delayed my exams. That's why I did early first session of 2019. They had the changes format too, so I was the new batch for a new format and everything in 2019. And then we had used to have 2 exams after that, MCCEQ1 and MCCEQ2. MCCEQ2 is eliminated in 2020. Got eliminated in 2020. So that means no more MCCQE2E either. So now we have only 2 exams left. One is MCCQE1, which is a licensing exam, which is required by everyone. Doesn't matter if you did a medical degree in internationally or in Canada. You must pass to become a licensed physician in Canada. The other exam is NAC OSCE. That is mainly for the international graduates, if they want to apply for a residency here in Canada, or if they're going for a pre-ready assessment, then they must do that exam. So it's NAC OSCE. So now we have 2 exams for international medical graduates.
Great. Okay, that sums it up nicely. So let's just say I'm just gonna ask you a few questions, like just like our people watching or in our group. Let's say now I have attempted my QE1 and I passed my QE1. What is my next step? What should I do after that?
Well, if you are looking into applying for a residency, then you need to have a NAC OSCE.
Okay.
Pre-ready assessment needs to have a NAC OSCE as well. But if you just want to get your LMCC, then you can just contact the medical council through your account Physician, applyphysicians.ca, and get your LMCC. If you meet their requirements, you have to have a certain amount of experience and a postgraduate training in order to meet their requirements and qualify for LMCC.
So I believe you need to have that ECFMG certification where you need to have minimum of 12 months of post-graduation or post-graduation 12 months or post-houseman 12 months?
Yeah, so according to, like, I don't know, international many countries, it's called a post-house job. Some call it internship, some call it post-training, postgraduate training. So according to Canada, anything that happened after you finished your medical degree, that's postgraduate training.
Oh, nice. Okay. Okay. So, Dr. Raj, I believe now, compared to 5 years ago and right now, Canadian medical system has become really easy to be able to acquire your license. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I would say it has been a lot easier in this aspect, like exams and stuff like that. So definitely there's a two less exams for sure. But at the same time, they have like a toughened up the other processes, like getting into residency or applying for a pre-ready assessment. They had increased their uh, recency of your experience and all that stuff. So those things are more challenging right now. And this also led to more competition right now.
Oh, definitely. Yep, yep, yep.
So yes, if you think about it, exams are less, and I feel like exams are not as toughened as before, because before we didn't have any resources to study from.
Yes, right.
Like when I started studying, there were nothing. Now you search online, you find so many things there.
True, true. I completely agree with you. Yes, yes.
And now even MCC has their own sample test is online too. We didn't have those.
Yep, yeah, we did not. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Like, so I would say yes, in certain aspects there are nicer changes, but on the other hand, I think it kind of balances out.
Okay, that's now another question I would like to ask is, let's just say I have acquired LMCC. What can I do with it?
So LMCC by itself is nothing. Pretty
Right.
much it's just a piece of paper.
Okay.
But on the other hand, if you're thinking of applying to medical college for residency or period assessment, LMCC means you're halfway there.
Okay.
So in LMCC is something that the central government gives us the permission, like you're qualified to be a doctor, right?
Okay.
Or you are a doctor. But in order to practice in Canada, you must be registered within the province that you are going to practice in.
Okay.
So the province wants LMCC and your experience. So experience could be your residency or your pre-ready assessment.
Oh, right, right. Oh, it could be NACOSCI.
No, NACOSCI is a requirement for pre-ready assessment and residency. But
Right.
in order to register in to practice is a residency, or you should have a passed pre-ready assessment.
Right. I'm not certain if you would be aware of the armed forces sector, because I remember around 4 or 5 years ago, I got to know that the Canadian armed forces, they were hiring medical professionals and IMGs as well, but their only requirement at the time was you having LMCC. So let's just say some IMGs want to get into the armed forces. In that case, is there any change of rule there, or you still have LMCC and you can still be inducted into the Air Force or Army or stuff, or Navy SEALs or stuff like that? Would you have any input on that? Have you ever thought in that sector?
Well, definitely, like I don't have a specific knowledge about it, but arms force or anything like that, you must be a Canadian citizen for one.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that is, I'm pretty sure that's gonna be a requirement.
But I am pretty sure I'm okay. Never mind. Okay, that is based on you. Okay, that
Like
you
I'm not
must.
sure, but I'm not 100% sure, but like according to rules, because Canadian Armed Force is something like really strict to the high security level, right? You need to have that.
Right.
So I know some people who applied, they do like a criminal background check, and that took around 6 months or longer.
Okay, but were they able to get the post, or it didn't
Uh,
work?
they were in a different post. They were not into medical,
Oh, right.
and definitely they got it.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, and yeah, there is a benefit of that. I think that if you are into armed forces, if you meet their requirements, but you have still have to do some their exams too. So you got to think of that.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm not familiar with that. Right. Okay.
So like I know you have to do some army exams if you want to go into that system,
Okay.
and you have to be physically fit. Another thing, so they do have some physical exams as well, and yeah, so you can definitely apply there. And if you're getting into residency, yes, they have definitely have more seats for that. So they do have some specific quota for that army.
Interesting. Okay.
But at the same time, if you want to go into army, you need to have meet their requirements before.
Okay. So that would be in addition to MCC requirements, you have to meet Army requirements. Okay. That
Yeah.
could enforce few more obstacles. Okay. So that is an interesting point actually that you spoke about. Besides that, we have already covered the basically right now from 4 examinations, we have 2 examinations, and QE1 gets you LMCC, and after getting LMCC, you are basically centrally registered, and in order to get your placement with the federal government, you have to get their requirement done as well. And one of those requirements would be your postgraduate experience. And we have to, I mean, eventually we'll find out once we apply to the provinces where we are applying to, what else do they need. To summarize, does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And NAC OSCE would only be considered when we are applying for CARMS after our QE1. What do you think? Is it what is encouraged? Let's just say some people have not been working for 10 years, 15 years, and they have maybe just now, after 10, 15 years of not practicing, they have just cleared their QE1. What do you think would be the ideal way for them to go about all this? Should they apply for residency, or should they go for the LMCC and provincial, you know?
I would say it depends upon their choices. So let's say I didn't practice in last 10 years, but before that I have 2 years of independence experience. So some of the pre-ready assessments, they just want 2 years of independent experience, but they do want a recency. So I would just go back to your home country, do a 6 months of a recent experience, and then apply for it.
Right. Okay. So
And the same thing with the residency. So I would like, if you want to put your application at the top, I would definitely say you should go back and renew your experience.
so experience matters a lot. That would make a big difference when you apply for your residency.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And okay. So I'm not sure you would be familiar with this question. Let's just say, I mean, this is a hypothetical situation. I'm pretty sure some people might be in this. Let's just say I did my post-graduation 1 year, 2 year. After that, I came to Canada. I did not work in medical field at all. For 5, 6, 10 years, I was working, maybe doing odd jobs or doing something else. Now only after 10 years I have been able to undertake and pass my QE1. So I was able to acquire my LMCC, considering I had already, like as you said previously, done my postgraduate. So in that situation where I have been away for so long and yet I was able to acquire LMCC, you said in that case it could be encourage maybe the person should go for residency because the person has postgraduate experience. But do you think that kind of put a negative impression on the hospital where you're applying for your residency, or do you think it is okay for us to also apply for independent practice? Because LMCC you can apply based on your assessment, right? If you have a supervisor.
I'm not sure what you mean by if you have supervisor, but
No.
like if you're applying for residency or pre-ready assessment, both of them, it should not matter. It's your choice. You can apply to both of them.
You are right. It is based on the candidate. But what I'm trying to get is like we as human beings always look for an easy path, which is easier, which would be more, comprehensible. We won't be stuck or we won't be under a lot of stress. So do you have any idea like what would be more stressful, or you suggest that equally difficult?
Well, residency is more competitive, definitely for sure. When getting into residency is more competitive, but then also it's like a 3 years program if you're doing family medicine, and 5 if you're doing other specialties, and then you plus have a return of service, I don't know, for 4 or 5 years. So you're bound for almost 10 years, right?
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
On the other hand, if you qualify for the pre-ready assessment, I think Alberta has a 6 months program for pre-ready assessment, and I think Saskatchewan is only 3 or 4 months.
Nice.
I'm sure about Manitoba, but like if you have a choice of being into the pre-ready assessment, then I would, like if I had a choice, I would definitely go with that path. For one, it's a long shorter.
Okay, the
For
very good.
two,
I mean, this makes so much sense. Thanks for sharing. Yes, please go on.
for one, it's a shorter, and for two, they pick a candidate, I think, twice a year, and residency is only once a year.
Right. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So
And
you are considering pre-ready assessment, or you're considering residency? You have already informed us you are thinking of residency, but now you
I don't
said
have experience.
okay.
I don't have independent experience. So if I want to consider pre-ready assessment, I need to go out of country and do 2 to 3 years of independent practice. Then I can apply for a pre-ready assessment. So that's my biggest issue, that I cannot apply for pre-ready assessment.
Right.
So I need to have at least 2 years of experience in order to apply for that. So that's why I'm considering residency.
Great. So this is a big advantage for all those people who have been working overseas. They can opt for pre-ready assessment. So pre-ready assessment, is it paid? Is it the 6 months we have to pay them, or the pre-ready assessment they would pay us? How does the pre-ready assessment work for the people, the applicant?
Honestly, I don't have that knowledge.
Okay. No, definitely we have to
I
look
don't
more
know.
into it. We do more research on that. Okay. So the
Yes, I don't
pre-ready
know that.
assessment about the Saskatchewan, you said 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, it's 3 to 4 months. I think Alberta is 6 months. I will say, like, if I'm becoming a doctor, earning 100,000 a year, or at least 100,000 a year, and I have to do a 6 months of a free assessment, I would do it.
Right. But sometimes it
But
can
I'm
be
not sure if it's a free or not. But I will, if it's free, I will do it. I'm pretty sure.
okay. Right. Definitely. The point you raised absolutely makes sense. But I mean, I don't want to offend any of our viewers, but uh, I mean, what I personally feel is people who are coming, who are not from Canada and who are coming from overseas, like, and even though they have graduated from other universities all over the world, who are not in either Europe or America, they tend to be very weak in the ethical part of the study. And I believe if you go into your pre-ready assessment, no matter how much knowledge we have, the ethics part of your knowledge is always so daunting that it can be so you know, it can be a harbinger of doom for some people. Like, what if you are dealing with a patient in your own style, where you have been dealing in your own country, and you end up, you know, offending a patient? Do you get some sort of warning, or do you get some sort of, you know, what some sort of education in that? I mean, how does it work? Because what if you, rather than, you know, getting it through, you end up making things worse for you because of your, you know, consultation part, or your ethical part of your consultation?
Well, whoever is your supervisor, they understand you're out of country, that you have different practice in different ethicals, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
thing is, you should be willing to adapt change.
Right. Okay.
So, I mean, if you did something bad, like negligence or some other, then definitely it's not good for you. But at the same time, if it's something small, so then you should be able to like manage those kind of things. And if you are changing or trying to adapt to change, get used to a new system, and you make a couple mistakes here and there, then it should not be that big of thing. But if
like
it's some
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Like, the thing that comes to my mind is contraception, third trimester abortions, having a drunk colleague, or you see your colleague in a nightclub, colleague in your nightclub, things like that, basic stuff. I mean, which in countries coming, people coming from Asia might not encounter, or encounter a lot. Some people might encounter a lot, some people might not encounter at all. So these are some of the examples. So just to summarize what you inform me, in case you have made such mistakes and you do accept them, and you are willing to learn from them, and you change and do not repeat, the initial mistakes would be forgiven. I mean, they are, you will given warning, you would not be straight away just, you know, written off. Is that what you are suggesting?
I have no idea. Like honestly, I don't know
Okay.
how they follow that system, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure like it depends on like what is your mistake. It depends, right? We cannot justify what is a small or what is a big, but when you're not in that situation.
True. True.
So if that situation and patient depends upon like what is the harm done to a patient, right? End of the day, that's all it really matters. How we can make someone's life easier, better. Are we doing that, or is it doing going opposite?
Oh, okay. It makes perfect sense. So basically, what you're trying to say is, as long as we are not putting a patient's life in danger, we are not a threat to a patient. Maybe it can be, you know, let
Like,
go.
yeah, for sure. Like end of the day, how patient feels is most important thing. Like I know after QE2 exams, even NACOSC exams, sometimes you have those acting patients, right?
Yeah.
In those exams. So every time you finish a session, they will ask that acting patient, and if that in real life, if they would really come to us as their doctors. And if their answer is no, then you're failing that part of the exam,
Wow.
that question or
Wow.
that scenario of the exam.
Wow. That's something hardcore. Wow. Okay.
So like that, whatever they're saying is weightage a lot. So any station, there's a 12 station of NACOSC, right? At any station, that specific patient said, no, I will never want this person to be my doctor, that is not good for you.
Okay. That's not very encouraging. That must be so overwhelming for the person or the doctor giving that station. So I believe
Yes,
a lot of stations, at least 50% stations out of the 12 are consultation. This is what the some of the people have informed me. There are a lot of consultation stations in the QE, NACOSC. I think QE2 or NACOSC, I'm confusing.
NACOSC.
So a lot of consultation involves.
So yes, a lot of counseling and for those kind of things, like a lot of counselings are involved, but end of the day, you gotta see how the patient is going. You gotta understand if you're going on the right track. You can like do the way patient approaches you, right? You you can guess it.
Yes.
So for sure, like I would say, don't any of those ethics. So ethics, this is where the ethics matter. So if the patient saying that that doctor didn't treat me right and I will never, okay, I will give another chance, then you still have a chance, right? But the patient is saying that I don't want that doctor to be my doctor, then
Very
like
perfect point. I think
I
this is
don't
a
know.
very good example you gave. I mean, if you put yourself in the patient's shoe, I mean, it makes perfect sense how sometimes you just, okay, yeah, that makes,
Yeah, so like you gotta think of a, yeah, that's good way to think. Like I'm thinking, oh, how that person approach those questions, how they ask those questions. Even like I know some people are coming from other countries are not comfortable with especially like contraception questions, and they use especially like especially like ethical issue comes if you're usually anyone is considered a minor under 18, right? But when it comes to contraceptives or STIs, under 18 is not a minor.
yeah,
So if you're talking about talking to a 15-year-old girl and she's asking for contraceptives, you cannot get permission from her parents, or you cannot tell that to her parents because that's an ethical issue.
exactly.
So, and if a 15-year-old is there because she has something else like a fever, then you need a permission from her parents, right? So that you gotta understand how the ethics work.
Yeah, true, true.
It's
That's
not
a,
something like right from wrong. It depends upon a situation. So they really cannot draw a line. This is right and this is wrong. It depends upon a situation that you are there in. So you gotta treat yourself as a professional, someone who is scholar, right? Who has more knowledge about health than the patient who's asking you for the help.
absolutely.
Patient is there because they don't know what's happening with their body. The only thing they know is that something is not right.
True, true, true.
So they come to you because they think you know better for their body, how their body is responding. So you need to know where to draw that line.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is integral to part of your field of knowledge. Absolutely.
So
So
like,
yeah,
yeah, so that's what I mean. Like there's no fixed line ethically what is right and what is wrong, but you gotta make sure that what benefits your patient.
well,
Then again, it also depends upon where you're breaking that ethic, right? Was that when you're on duty or was that when you're not on duty?
okay, now this is another interesting point. I think we should definitely get into the ethics part of working in Canada. That would be a huge and massive topic, I guess, which would be impossible to cover in one talk. But anyhow, thank you so much for enlightening us in detail about this issue where we have discussed about the evolution of Canadian exams. And definitely a lot of people will learn from this that how from 4 exams it has come down to 2 exams. And even if you want LMCC and exam pre-ready assessment and all that, you just need 2 years of experience and then you can apply for that. That would
I'm
be
not sure.
awesome.
It depends on which province you're
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That is what we said
applying to.
earlier.
You're
Yeah.
applying to. It
So
varies. Like plus they change it here and there, so you gotta do your research.
absolutely, everybody needs to do their own research. DYOR, I must say. Okay, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure we'll be back with another video some other time next week. Thank you so much for giving us your time, Dr. Raj. Until then, next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.